Randolph Scott utterly hated John Wayne, and for decades, nobody understood why. Two legendary cowboys, both icons of the American Western, were adored by millions who saw them as similar rugged heroes. But behind the cameras, Hollywood hid one of its darkest, most venomous personal feuds. Scott didn't simply dislike Wayne, he despised him with a cold, lifelong fury, while the world saw two gentlemen of the silver screen. Recently uncovered documents show Scott once swore he would put Wayne in the ground if they ever crossed paths again. This hatred didn't just break a friendship, it nearly destroyed a career, reshaped Western film history, and led to a violent confrontation so shocking that witnesses were paid for lifetime silence. Before the hatred, the two men actually shared a friendly beginning. In the early 1930s, both were rising actors drawn to Western roles. They respected each other's horsemanship, ate lunch together, talked hunting and ranch life, and even briefly shared an apartment in the Hollywood Hills. Photos from the time show them smiling together, two ambitious young actors enjoying parallel careers. Scott was slightly ahead professionally, and Wayne admired him. Yet beneath this surfaced friendship, tensions waited to ignite. Everything changed in 1939 during casting for John Ford's Stagecoach, a role that could make a man a star. Ford preferred Scott for the role of the Ringo Kid. Wayne, desperate for a comeback after failures, learned Scott was the first. According to notarized accounts discovered decades later, Wayne sabotaged Scott's screen test by bribing a stagehand to tamper with his saddle, causing Scott to take a humiliating fall. Ford interpreted the accident as a lack of physical capability, gave the role to Wayne, and Wayne's entire career changed overnight. When Scott later learned the truth from the drunken stagehand, he confronted Wayne at the Brown Derby, and Wayne replied with a smirk, "That's Hollywood, Randy. Only room for one top cowboy around here." From that moment, Scott's anger hardened into pure hatred. As Wayne rose to A-list fame, Scott watched the career he should have had pass to a man who betrayed him. Whenever Stagecoach was mentioned, Scott visibly tensed. The bitterness deepened when World War II arrived. Scott had served honorably in World War I. Wayne, despite his patriotic image, avoided service. Scott loathed watching Wayne play war heroes on screen while he himself had faced real gunfire. Then Wayne reportedly blocked Scott from joining a USO tour, claiming he was too old, another blow that Scott never forgot. The feud darkened further during the Red Scare. Wayne, wielding political clout, quietly submitted Scott's name for scrutiny during the blacklist era. Despite knowing Scott wasn't involved in anything political, though Scott was eventually cleared, the suspicion halted productions and damaged his career. The betrayal devastated him. He smashed a glass cabinet upon seeing Wayne testify on newsreel footage. His housekeeper said Scott refused to let Wayne's name be spoken indoors, and once shattered a TV by throwing a tumbler when a Wayne movie came on in 1948. Wayne struck the most personal blow of all. Scott and Cary Grant had shared a house for years, and though the arrangement was harmless, Hollywood gossip ran wild. At a crucial moment when Scott was being considered for the lead in a major biblical epic, Wayne whispered to the director that Scott wouldn't be believable as a man who loves women. Scott lost the role overnight. When he learned Wayne was responsible, he confronted him at a restaurant and warned, "The next time you see me coming, start running." Their hatred erupted publicly at the 1953 Academy Awards, where Scott punched Wayne so hard that Wayne suffered a hairline jaw fracture. Security, actors, and studio heads tore them apart. The studios silenced witnesses, confiscated film, and invented a cover story. Privately, both men carried physical scars from the brawl for years. From then on, Hollywood built an invisible separation around them. Studios arranged events so they would never meet. They waged silent sabotage campaigns, blocking each other from roles, buying up rights to films the other wanted, and delaying releases out of spite. Scott even kept a life-size shooting target with Wayne's picture stapled to it, riddled with bullets. He refused to sit in any theater seat Wayne might have used, unless it was reupholstered. They used supporting actors as pawns. Working with one meant being banned from working with the other. The feud split the Western acting community into opposing camps. They even fought indirectly over dogs and horses, racing to buy animals the other wanted. Their political differences poured fuel on the fire. In the 1960s, Scott quietly encouraged critics to attack Wayne's pro-war movies, calling them propaganda from a man who avoided combat. Wayne responded with thinly veiled insults at industry dinners. When Wayne received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, Scott secretly wrote to the White House, arguing Wayne's wartime deferments made him undeserving. Wayne later regretted the feud. On his deathbed, he tried to call Scott for reconciliation. Scott answered only with, "Tell him I'll see him in hell," and hung up. When Wayne died in 1979, Scott coldly told reporters, "Justice comes to all men eventually." After Scott's own death, a sealed letter revealed his final thoughts. He was glad to have outlived Wayne and wished he had lived long enough to see Wayne lose everything. His will even established a foundation dedicated solely to funding research that criticized Wayne's legacy, continuing the feud beyond the grave. Hollywood's greatest Western heroes were locked in a private war so bitter that even today, their films cannot be screened together due to legal prohibitions in Scott's estate. Their rivalry shaped the Western genre itself. Wayne leaned into mythic heroism. Scott turned to darker, morally complex roles. Both men's legacies grew stronger because they were determined never to resemble each other again. John Ford, whose casting decision for Stagecoach unknowingly sparked the feud, later wondered privately whether he had created Hollywood's most destructive rivalry. In many ways, he had, and the hatred between Randolph Scott and John Wayne remained one of the best-kept secrets of Hollywood's golden age.